Michael Avenatti is known for legally representing a woman who once was paid money to sleep with a man who later became president. Feminist theology must finally be out of potential heroes if this trailer park looking 5 out of 10 is the best thing they can bring forth to worship. However, Avenatti is one persistent person, a man somehow able to conduct 2 different live interviews on television at the same time. One with Chris Cuomo on CNN, and one with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. Clearly, at least the CNN interview was pre-recorded, though they promote the clip as a live interview. You can tell because the audio for the second clip started before Chris Cuomo stopped talking.
What does the counselor have to say? Michael Avenatti, thank you for being on Cuomo Primetime once again.
That's right. At the same time that this is being broadcast, there is also a live interview with Avenatti on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow. Nothing too surprising from CNN, the masters of integrity. Speaking of integrity, back to Michael Avenatti, who plans on running for president in 2020. The new face of the resistance, Michael Avenatti. Sure, apparently drinking Diet Coke out of a wine glass isn't presidential, but getting duped by 4chan is absolutely becoming of aspiring presidential candidates. Don't know what I'm talking about? Well, last night, this post was going around with Anons claiming that they have trolled Avenatti into the dirt. And here we have a nice little green text from the perspective of an Anon who had his girlfriend call Michael Avenatti from a burner phone, claiming to be one of his classmates, or former classmates rather. Then the Anon also posed as one of Kavanaugh's classmates, and Michael Avenatti was excited to hear this, had all sorts of press lined up for them. But of course, it didn't work out quite as he expected. Now, he is denying all of this, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit. I think this story does line up with what we have seen recently, although he has since produced a name and a picture of this latest accuser. But it turns out things are a little bit more complicated than Michael Avenatti would like you to believe. Or CNN and MSNBC for that matter. Later that day, Avenatti set his Twitter to protected, so no one could see his tweets except people who he followed. This was likely due to this tweet, which if you read subtextually, reads, "I really want a job at CNN." Just really take a minute to read that back and let it sink in, and ask yourself if it sounds like something you can actually believe. Almost like something a troll on the internet would tell somebody to see if they were gullible enough to believe it. So, after this tweet was going around and people were laughing at him, he set his Twitter to private and came back the next day with this tweet. "There is a rumor being floated that I was duped or pranked by 4chan. I have received multiple inquiries about it. This is completely false. It never happened. It is a total fabrication. None of it is true. The right must be worried. They should be." Well, you know, if it didn't happen, you should deny it 4 times. Well, apparently he had his tweet from a month ago that led some people to wonder. 4chan is playing a very dangerous game right now. I could shut it all down in an instant. I love it when people declare war on the internet. I could shut it down in an instant. Well, the reason that we are here, and I'm making this video, is because Michael Avenatti named his client and shared her picture, but asks us all to respect her privacy. She has a right to be private, but those she is accusing shouldn't have that same right, eh? So here is a clip featuring Kavanaugh's lawyer addressing the third accusation on CNN.
A firm recollection of seeing boys lined up outside rooms at many of these parties waiting for their turn with a girl inside the room. These boys included Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh.
I mean, it's outrageous. Really, you witnessed gang rapes and you never said anything? You've never come forward? We know Judge Kavanaugh has been under scrutiny for months. Months. And you witnessed something like that as a parent of a daughter and 2 sons? I cannot imagine not coming forward when this man was named, if that's what you witnessed. I don't understand it, and I don't understand why they wouldn't go to the police.
She says that these boys, according to her, and we haven't confirmed any of this.
Well, if we're supposed to believe women, then I guess we're supposed to believe Kavanaugh's lawyer. As it turns out, this woman, Julie Swetnick, was sued in 2000 for defamation. I can't help but wonder if she might be the type of person that would feel that the Supreme Court was important enough to justify smearing and ruining a man in order to give Democrats the chance to stall any confirmation until they get into power. I mean, the ends justify the means, right? Can't have conservatives take over the Supreme Court even if it means destroying the career of a good man. There is every reason to believe this is all BS. First, you have the shady recollections of the first accuser, who set up a ton of stipulations in order to tell her story. Doesn't sound genuine to me, never did. On top of that, her lawyer is somebody that had worked closely with none other than Hillary Clinton in the past. More than that, there have been people that went to school with Brett Kavanaugh that have been getting many phone calls from journalists that have been attempting to lead them into making statements. So, what kind of man is Michael Avenatti? I mean, other than being the apparent face of cable news, having been on CNN literal hundreds of times in the past few months. But what kind of man is he? Well, according to his wife, Michael Avenatti is emotionally abusive, and it is harmful to her and their child for Michael to be staying in the same house as them. Oof. Here's another page from that same document. Michael threatened that he will burn all of their money on their divorce case and that he will call the cops again, causing them both to be arrested, which will in turn cause their child to be placed in protective custody. I mean, what a guy. What a great father. What a great man. What an ethical gentleman to do something like that. Those are in official court documents, by the way. So clearly this is a man that you can trust on his word. It's so interesting to me, the type of people that they peddle in front of us to be moral arbiters. They're usually the worst kinds of people. You ever notice that? They always trot out your Alec Baldwins and your Michael Avenattis to lecture everybody on how good they are and how bad you are. Well, that'll do it for this video, but I wanted to promote a few things. First of all, I do my morning show roughly 5 times a week. I don't have the days set in stone, but at 5 a.m. Pacific time, I usually do the Morning Squat live stream where we go over a lot of the up-and-coming news of the day as the day is getting going. And I also have an archive channel where all of those streams go after the show is over. That way your subscription feed isn't cluttered with all of the streams that I like to do, because I like to live stream. I also created a new video game channel called Player One. A link to that is in the description. I had to create a new channel. It's kind of a long story, but we have that all set up, so a link to that will be in the description. And the other thing I wanted to promote is the Heel stream. On Saturday, Ethan Ralph and the Ralph Retort, they have Keemstar. I'm supposed to be there. Of course, Dick Masterson. I think Mr. Medicare's set to be there. It's going to be a big show. And all of the proceeds will go to St. Jude. So there is hardly a better organization to do charity for. So I would encourage all of you to try to make that if you can. It'll probably be a very interesting and fun stream, especially with all of the personalities that'll be there. So I'm excited to watch, and I'm also excited to be there as a guest whenever I can make it. So that'll be it for today. Here it is, your moment of clarity.
The Executive Vice President of the National Rifle Association, Wayne LaPierre. Wayne, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Kara. Good to be with you.
Well, if the ban on assault weapons expires, what kind of weapons would be legal?
Kara, let me say this at the start. I'm glad you ran that story, because apparently the only difference between the New York Times and CNN is that when a reporter for the New York Times fakes a story, he's fired, and at CNN he's not. Your bureau chief, John Zarella, deliberately faked the story yesterday, intending to show that the performance characteristics of banned firearms on the list are somehow different from the performance characteristics of firearms not on the ban list. He was implying that these were machine guns or fully automatic guns. That's not true.
Mr. LaPierre, I have to stop you there. No one fakes stories at CNN, and John Zarella definitely did not fake a story at CNN. You're very off base. I'm going to let you say your opinion, and let's have a conversation, but don't accuse our reporter of faking any story, sir.
Let me say it again. in front of the whole country. Your reporter faked that story yesterday. It deliberately misread the viewer. There's no way it could be true, and I challenge CNN to